My name's Rob McNamara. I have a coaching business called Bespoke Triathlon Coaching. So that's the name of the YouTube channel. I post about one video a week at the moment. It's been going for just over 6 months now. My background, I've been a triathlete for nearly 20 years now. I've been a triathlon coach for I think about 12 years. I'm a level 2 triathlon coach. I still have a full-time job, so coaching is, I suppose, a hobby as well as the triathlon competing itself. In busy times, I have up to 10 athletes that I coach. COVID sort of put a halt to that.
Yeah.
So the numbers are much lower at the moment.
So I've got 13 kind of quick fire questions now, just for a bit of fun, kind of way to get to know you. And yeah, I'm ready to start when you are.
Okay, ready.
Perfect. So the first one is, do you measure in miles or kilometers?
Kilometres, being in Australia, although I can usually do most of the standard conversions in my head. So obviously a half marathon is 13 miles, and marathon's 26, 10K is about 6 miles, 5K sort of 3.1. So I'm conversant in both.
Do you prefer on the road, trail, or the track?
Running, I definitely prefer the trail. I think the older you get, the harsher, the harder surfaces become. Although obviously in the last 5 years, probably 10 years, but especially the last 5 years, the runners have been getting thicker and thicker. So that's sort of helping a bit, especially during COVID. I'm surrounded by running trails where I live. And suddenly during COVID, where we were restricted to 1 hour of exercise per day, they suddenly became very congested with every single person wanting to go out. And that made the social distancing almost impossible. So I actually found a loop, suburban loop on the roads. It was a 1K loop. And I was using that. I was running in the middle of the road. And of course, it was in the middle of lockdown, so no cars were really driving. It was just delivery vans I had to dodge.
Yeah.
The Hoka runners certainly became useful then.
I bet they did. So what about on the bike then? Where do you prefer the bike?
I'm generally on the road. I do have a mountain bike, but I don't get out as much as I would like on that. So over 90% of my riding is on the road as far as the bike goes.
So the next one is, do you prefer sports nutrition or real food?
Ideally real food, but it's not as convenient. So
no, it's definitely not.
I think sometimes sports nutrition is just candy and convenient wrapping. I know some of the cycling teams have now employed chefs to actually create their bars and sort of wrap them up in foil. Of course, real food doesn't last as long, so you can't buy 3 months worth and put it in the cupboard.
No, definitely not.
Cook it and use it within sort of 3 days.
Do you prefer flat routes or hilly routes?
Hilly, definitely preferred hilly. As someone who's quite skinny and lightweight, I get more of an advantage as soon as
going up the hills.
That's going up.
Do you prefer training late at night or early in the morning?
Definitely first thing in the morning. Even the athletes I coach, you find if the ones who do all their sessions before work get them done nearly all the time, the ones who do sessions after work, there's always something that comes up that causes them to miss the session. And myself, I train pretty much every morning, and then I'll do some lunchtime sessions as well. And I really avoid the after work, because once you've finished work, I'm just not in the state to sort of do stuff, especially when the couch and the TV look so inviting.
Yeah, definitely. What is one race you would really like to do, so your bucket list race?
I don't actually race Ironman, but obviously the Kona Hawaii Ironman Championships would be something great to do. Roth in Germany is another Ironman event, which would be great. My other event, which I really wanted to do, I actually did 2 years ago now, seems closer because that COVID year sort of didn't happen. But in 2019, I did a half Ironman triathlon in Nice, France.
Nice.
So that's a really hilly course. It's got a Category 1 climb that they're doing the Tour de France in the middle of the course. So that was one that sort of really suited me.
Do you prefer short, fast training sessions or long endurance sessions?
I do more long endurance sessions, especially at my age, but I do enjoy the short ones. I enjoy the shorter races, so I am actually better on the shorter distances. I think that's why I do have the longer races as my goal races, because that's somewhere I can improve. So I think you're always sort of looking to work on your weaknesses. But yeah, I enjoy both, but the older you get, the less intensity your body can handle.
Do you train with music or without?
Without. Yeah, I've never trained with music, run or ridden. Yeah, I've got enough stuff going on in my head that occupies me. I think especially the runs, I ride in groups, but I run by myself. And I think I really use that as my time. During COVID, when I first started doing the videos, I would actually work out the entire video I was going to do on the run, then come back and do that sort of stuff. So it's just, and I run at lunchtime at work, and I find that clears my head, and then I'm productive again. All the problems that I couldn't work out suddenly come to me during the run.
It's a good time to get a bit of headspace and kind of reorganize the thoughts in your head. I tend to find out on a run, so yeah. Do you stretch regularly? Yes or no?
Yes, but not as much as I should. So I probably do 3 to 4 stretch sessions a week, where I should really be doing 7 at my age. I don't tend to do it after the run. I tend to do it as a separate session, and I typically do it at night. I like to get a sleep in between my stretching and my next session, just to let the sort of body recover. So I usually do a 20 to 30 minute sort of stretching and foam roller and spiky ball and other sort of things as well, and often while watching telly.
Do you prefer training in hot weather or cold weather?
If I had to choose, I'd go hot. We don't get that cold. We don't get snow in Melbourne, but there's been days where I've come back from long rides and my hands have been so frozen I haven't been able to open the door with the key. Luckily my wife's usually home, but I've had other friends who said they got into the house and they actually had to stand under the shower before they could undo their helmet and get undressed. They were just, fingers were that frozen.
So the next one is, do you prefer an isotonic drink or just plain water?
During now in my sort of off season, I'm just going with water. As I get closer to the race, I will go, and actually I race with a carb drink, so I have like 60 grams of carbs in there. So you just want to get used to that in your brick sessions and that closer to it. But for most of the year I go water. I think just for dental health, that's a big issue. If you think about rinsing your mouth out with sugared water for sort of 3 hours on a ride, it's probably not the most healthy thing to do.
Probably not. What's your go-to post-race food?
Well, I have during the week, I'd have swim sessions or ride sessions first thing in the morning. So I come home and have breakfast, which would, for me, scrambled eggs every morning. During the lunchtime runs, I'll run sort of right on 12 o'clock, and I'll come back and just have whatever we're having for lunch straight after that. If I'm doing a session where I'm going to finish away from home, so I'm not going to have access to food for like half an hour, I will take just a little protein drink.
And the last one, if you couldn't do your current sport, what would your alternative sport be?
I suppose triathlon's my main sport. I also do duathlon, which is really very similar.
Yeah.
Over winter, I typically always do trail running. I prefer the trail running over the road running, generally. I do cycling events rather than races, so more your sort of Grand Fondo type events rather than your criteriums. I occasionally do open water swims, but not very often. But over COVID, I'd actually was intending to do So last year I was intending to do an ultra marathon, which got cancelled because of COVID. So I suppose that's still in the back of my mind. I want to do a 50k trail run.
Obviously, at the beginning, I said that because your background is triathlon, you've got a bonus question. So the bonus question is, out of the 3 disciplines, so running, cycling and swimming, which is your least favourite and why?
When I started triathlon, I couldn't swim.
Okay.
So when I signed up, I couldn't actually make it to the end of the pool. I had 3 months to sort that out before the actual race. So that's the one for a long time I enjoyed the least. And because I enjoyed it the least, I did it the least. So I improved the least. And then when I made a decision to actually do a lot more, strangely enough, I got a lot better. And when I started, running was my strength. And now running is probably my weakness. So probably swimming's probably the thing I like doing the least, but where I used to dislike it, now I actually enjoy doing it. So I sort of enjoy all 3. But it's gone from hated to almost as good as the other one. I suppose the sessions I dislike the most is when I have to do a long ride and the weather's horrible.
Yeah, I can get that.
Running in bad weather's not so bad. Doing a long ride in bad weather, that's pretty horrible.
Well, that's brilliant. That's the end of the questions. So thank you very much for taking the time to chat to me. It's been absolutely brilliant chatting to you and just kind of finding out a bit more about you.
All right. Thanks a lot for organising. It was great.